Welcome to E4 Electric weekly live stream. That's right. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do some weekly live streams for this and next month, but I'm actually going to do it with a help of a good friend of mine now, not so much 2 years ago. Warren, welcome to the channel. How are you doing, my friend?
A little sleepy, but we'll get through it.
That's right. That's right.
In Bangkok, we should be out partying.
We are live from Bangkok, and I know people probably going to wonder, well, if you're both in Bangkok, why are you doing this on Zoom, essentially? Well, because we decided, and actually it's much harder to set up a studio with 2 mics and lights and 3 cameras than to do it this way. So we're going to do it for this month, and of course the month of July, see how it goes, and then we'll see if it's worth upgrading the studio. Plus, yeah. I think Warren is probably not wearing pants because he's going straight to bed after this, right, Warren?
I'm wearing shorts, real honest shorts, not just boxers.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Listen, let's just jump right in because
up for you. I'm not wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing a nice little Hawaiian shirt. You know?
How things have changed. I'm wearing a t-shirt. You're wearing a button-up shirt. What's going on, man? I don't know.
I didn't really dress up for you. I dressed up for my girlfriend. So
all right, fair enough. Well, now listen, let's jump right in because when we're talking about what topic we should debate, you said that you want to talk about this, which is you're thinking about buying a car here now that you live here full time in Bangkok. And even though Teslas are available here, I mean Model 3, Model Y, actually they just opened a brand new showroom at the Future Park Mall that I did a couple of videos from. But you have decided you might, at least you're considering BYD. Not gonna lie, shocked, because you've been not only like a fan and a driver and investor and all that stuff. I mean, you're one of the loudest voices, to put it mildly, especially on Twitter. Okay, man, the stage is yours. Do tell.
Well, yeah. So first of all, I've never been particularly negative on BYD, like not that I can remember, and I've noticed they're very common here in Thailand, and they look pretty good. And one of the challenges for Tesla is the cars are a little bit expensive, and I think the most popular BYD right now in Thailand is the Atto 3. The Atto 3 is it's less than a million baht. Like where the Model Y that I'm thinking about buying is over 2 million baht, which is something like $50,000.
Yeah, yeah. So I know our brands have switched to baht, but you gotta tell people at least US dollars. Or
the BYD Atto 3 is probably less than $25,000 at the bottom price point, and it's an SUV. It looks pretty good. I mean, I'm reading good reviews and everything. I'm still leaning towards getting a Tesla, but I'm open to exploring the BYD. I think the BYD, saving that much money is significant. The challenge is just like, okay, what about what's it going to be like if I'm going to be road? Because the plan is, my girlfriend and I, currently we don't drive very much because we're in Bangkok. You don't really want to drive a car, but we once or twice a month we go up to a place called Lopburi. I posted a video about Lopburi on my channel, and there's other places we want to go. And if you're going to road trip, well, then the quality of the car matters a lot. And so that's sort of the challenge, is like, what are the features of and I don't know enough about the Atto 3 yet. I've been researching it. I think the Model 3, the Model Y is a better car, but is it twice as much a better car? Because it's twice as expensive. That's the challenge.
Well, what makes you think that Model Y is a better car? What makes it a better car to you?
Sure. So it has more. Well, not just a really good example is I think there will be moments where we sleep in the car. Like I don't know how much you've traveled in Thailand, but when I was in Lopburi, one time I stayed in a hotel and the air conditioning didn't work very well. The hotel wasn't very. If you're in Bangkok, there's lots of nice hotels. And if you go to the resort towns, there's lots of nice places to stay, and they're not very expensive. But if you go to remote places, or like we might go to Laos, or we might go to Cambodia or Myanmar, and the hotels might not be that great depending on where you go. And a Model Y, like I've slept in Teslas. You can sleep in a Tesla and the air conditioning works as compared to some Bangkok hotels where it doesn't necessarily work. The Model Y has a HEPA air filter.
Unless you're a dog, right? Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so apparently with the latest update, the dog mode, the pet mode, right, stops working, and your the dog can actually get, or your cat or pet snake or whatever. So Tesla issued sort of a warning saying, do not use it for now. So unless you're a dog or a cat right now, you can use air conditioning as a human for now. But
I don't know I haven't seen that, and we don't have a dog, so that's not really an issue.
fair enough.
The issue is, they're made when you road trip, sometimes you may decide to sleep in the car, and the Model Y is I think the mattress for a Model Y is 74 inches long, which is over 6 feet tall, and I'm just about 6 feet tall. So that's bearable for sleeping, and it's wide enough, I think, two can sleep, be a little tight, but two people can sleep in it. I don't think that the Atto 3 is big enough to really sleep comfortably in. And then there's the question that I don't like, and I don't think it has a HEPA filter. So the air quality won't be as good. And there's certain months in Thailand where the air quality is poor. So having that HEPA air filter is going to be a big deal. Although, like typically in a Tesla, you replace the HEPA air filter every 3 years. But in places with air pollution, you replace it every year. So there's a little bit of a cost side of things there. But so there's that. And then I think the Model Y is a safer car. If you're going to be in a crash, you'd rather be in a Tesla.
Yeah, but I believe that the BYD also has as a matter of fact, not that I believe, I literally just looked at one, and it does have the HEPA filter as well. So, and yes, in any large city, but especially in Bangkok and in general in Thailand, you do need it, especially during like winter months, right?
Yeah. Well, the BYD, I'll just say this then, BYD is not advertising well, because I read their website and I didn't see the HEPA filter. So they ought to be pumping that.
I don't know why. You would think it's going to be one of the best things to kind of sell here, but I don't know why.
That's a significant feature. I'll look into that. And then range. I think the Model Y has more range. The Atto, like the BYD Seal, so people may not be aware of this. There's a BYD Seal it looks a lot like a Model 3, and you could argue they copied the Model 3, but I think the Model 3 copied the headlights on the BYD Seal.
Really? So, you think they look anything alike? I actually thought
they're sedans. They're sedans.
Well, and, yeah, but besides that,
I think the BYD Seal looks really cool. The BYD Seal looks really cool. It's a little bit less expensive. I just watched a review on CarWow about the Seal versus the 3, and the 3 apparently drives better. The 3 has more range, but the Seal is nice, and the Atto 3 is nice. They're not bad. Like I think there's this tendency in the Tesla community to say all those other cars suck, Tesla's the best, and I still think Tesla's the best, but that doesn't mean another car isn't good enough. So if I don't want to spend 50 plus, and I should say with a Model Y I can get FSD, which I would probably buy on the hope and prayer and dream that they will actually deliver full self-driving to Thailand at some point in the next few years. And I know you're skeptical of that, but that's not even an option on a BYD. There's nothing close to the self-driving features of a Tesla. So if they execute on self-driving and they're able to deliver that to Thailand, that will be a big deal. So
I'm generally don't see a value in FSD at all, but I don't think it is available here at all.
No, you can buy it, but you can't do much with it yet. I think there's like highway autopilot, like do lane keeping. It doesn't do much yet. But if they succeed in making it work in the US and they succeed in making it work in China, which they're now working on it in China, once they got it working in China, Thailand will probably say yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's leave FSD kind of aside for now, because it's really not available to you here for now. But okay. So like here's the thing with Tesla Model Y, at least that's the one that you're considering, right? Versus the BYD Atto 3.
I'm open to the Model 3, but okay, so let's talk about that for a second. The reason why I would choose the Model Y or Atto 3 over the Model 3 or the BYD Seal, one of the reasons is because I think that I know, I looked it up. The Atto 3 and the Y have more ground clearance, and if you're going to road trip a lot, there may be moments where you're glad you have the ground clearance. So that's a significant issue for me. It's like an inch higher. It's 172 millimeters versus 138 millimeters. So it's more than an inch higher, I think, on a Model Y. And then I'm tall. I'm almost 6 feet tall, and I don't know if you've tried to get into a Model 3, but you kind of have to scrunch down. It can be awkward getting into a Model 3 when you're tall like me. Model Y is easier to get into. When my girlfriend and I travel, sometimes we travel with other people sitting in the back seat, three or perhaps more people in the back seat. So Model Y is going to have a better back seat, more cargo area, all that stuff. So I think in general, the Model Y is a more capable car just because it's larger. And the size is just, BYD doesn't have a comparable SUV in terms of size to the Model Y. So, but you know, currently we're driving around in a Honda City, which is smaller than a Honda Civic. So the Atto 3 would be a big step up from the Honda City. So, you know, maybe I don't care that much. That's a challenge to figure that out.
Well, so, you know, I don't hide the fact that I personally absolutely love the way the new Model 3 looks. I mean, I just took a look at it at one of the new showrooms. I think it's literally one of the best looking sedans. And as much as I'm very much also, I love the way BYD Seal looks, I still would say the looks go to the Model 3. But here's the things where I cannot really sort of justify buying a Model Y. And I think, I mean, in America, it was definitely service. I don't know what the service like is here. I'm going to assume it's much better just because we are in a very much service industry based and oriented culture. And I don't remember receiving a bad service pretty much anywhere. So I expect that the service is probably going to be better in the US. I also expect the build quality to be better in the US simply because you know, if you're getting this if you're getting the country your Tesla from like California factory versus Tesla factory, probably the quality is not going to be.
It's so, the Teslas in Thailand are the Shanghai factory.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm just kind of, you know, most of the people watching us are you know, most likely in the US. And by the way, guys, feel free to tell us where you're watching us from right here in this chat, and we'll talk. We'll talk. We'll answer some questions a little bit later. But you know, my biggest issues with the Model Y, and I guess like all Teslas, there are some features that I really need myself. Maybe not everybody. First of all, and this is probably like, this is a deal breaker for me no matter what, is the Android Auto, right? Or Apple CarPlay if you have an iPhone. So when I get into the car, you know, I want my phone connected. I want Google Maps on the screen, and I want all the Google services because you know, that's what my phone is kind of boiling in. Just like if you're an iPhone user, you're all about Apple and you want the Apple CarPlay. Tesla has decided not to put it into their vehicles. Does that not bother you?
Well, first of all, Google Maps isn't every Tesla.
Well, Google Maps with the navigation, with everything that Google Maps comes with.
The mapping and that, look, I have a Model 3 and I had technically still own a Model X Plaid. The mapping and navigation are phenomenal in a Tesla. I never used Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in any cars I owned before I owned a Tesla, so I don't miss it. I don't know what the user experience is like in Thailand with a Tesla. I know in America, the Spotify or whatever that you could configure, there were a variety of music apps you could configure. I believe you can now do Zoom from a Tesla. They're probably going to add X, you know, and Grok will be in the car. So I think there's a lot of great software features in a Tesla. I haven't looked to see like what features are enabled in Thailand. This is one of those things where that's like when I get closer to buying, which is probably in August, I'll probably go to and I wanted to, on a point you mentioned, I expect the BYD service to be better than the Tesla service. And that's because I've seen multiple BYD locations. To my knowledge, there's only one real service location in all of Thailand for Tesla. It's Ramkahang in Bangkok. I don't think there's even another service center anywhere where BYD has multiple locations. I've seen, I don't know, several BYD locations. So you're probably going to be easier to get service for the BYD.
Okay, well, yes, I actually haven't thought about it, but let's talk about. I understand that there is Google Maps in Tesla, but it's very different from actually having a projection of your the entire sort of Google or Apple, environment, and they're consistently adding more and more and more things. It's much easier to launch an address from your calendar, for example. If you have a calendar on your phone and the location is there, you just click on it and it goes directly to your. I mean, there's definitely lots and lots and lots of benefits of having the Android Auto.
I never had a problem sending an address from my phone to my car.
All right. Well,
and you can press a button and say, take me to, Siam Center, and the car will find it on the map and navigate you there. So the navigation system on a Tesla is awesome. The map's awesome. That coordination. I think you may have a point when it comes to music or some apps on the phone that I don't use. But when it comes to mapping and navigation, no, the Tesla is excellent. I don't know whether it's excellent in Thailand because I haven't driven one in Thailand. I assume it's the same, and it's awesome.
All right. To me, it's definitely a deal breaker. I think there's a reason why pretty much every other manufacturer has that built in. The other thing that, as you probably know,
they don't have Tesla software. That's why. They don't have Tesla software, so they have to find something else.
Fair enough. But to me, as a consumer, I just care what's the most convenient to me. And the thing is, I don't think it's about their software. For example, Tesla can have amazing software. Volkswagen may have one day amazing software, but to me, it's about the integration, right? Meaning, like, if I have a Google phone, I want this to work flawlessly once I get into the car. And the only way to do it is with having a Google projection app or Apple projection app.
Okay, so let me just cover integration. So it doesn't always work. I believe it's improving, and I believe it's better than it was then. But it was about 2 years ago. My daughter and I were in a restaurant. It was raining really hard, and I used the summon feature on my phone, and the car drove up and picked us up. The car pulled out of its parking spot, pulled up and picked us up. I don't think any other car can do that. And it was seriously like a very heavy rain in Florida. And instead of having to walk, 100 yards to our car, we walked 10 feet to our car. So that's a pretty good.
That's like an umbrella can fix, but I've also seen these things go horribly wrong. I even have a kind of a parody video with this, but
I didn't say it was perfect. I'm just saying that's a pretty good integration.
But that's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about integration of my phone into the car. Not at all what you're talking about. But let's move on to another thing, which again just completely kills me. It's either head-up display or instrument panel. It is definitely better to have it in your side of vision, especially if it's a head-up display. I prefer head-up display over instrument panel. But having to look on the side and down, to me, is besides being, I believe, not as safe, but it's just very annoying. See, I'm going to assume you don't get annoyed with this either.
This is why I wanted to talk to you, because I was not aware that BYD had that feature.
Instrument panel?
No. The head-up display that you're describing on the screen.
I actually don't know if I checked out the Seal the other day, and I actually didn't get that far, but it has an instrument panel, so for sure that has it. I personally would prefer head-up display, but
So because it's a little difficult, because I drove a Model 3 for a while, and that had the screen in the center, and then I drove a Model X Plaid more, and the Model X does have indicators in front. Right, it has the screen in the middle, but it also has some information in front of you. But my general sense is that when I drove the Model 3, I don't remember that being a problem. And some people may be uncomfortable with it. I'm not saying that nobody is, but like personally, I don't remember that being a negative experience.
Yeah, I couldn't stand
it. If anything, I think that I think that the information display in the front in some ways was not as good as the display that the Model 3 had, with everything being on the one screen. For me personally, what I was used to, what I liked, in particular, this is something that would be irrelevant to anybody else, but if you're using FSD and you've got the display of like where all the vehicles are, there's a thing where you can actually see what the car sees. On the center screen, you can manipulate it. But on the Model X, on the screen that's in front of you, in front of the steering wheel, you can't manipulate it. You can't, it's not a touch screen. The touch screen, you can actually manipulate it. So that was actually better to have it on the way it is on the 3. To me, that's a small thing.
Yeah, to me, it's a big thing. As a matter of fact, I think it's a big thing to a lot of people because when I was kind of doing a video about what are the things that I feel like are missing in Teslas, I've also looked at how many add-on displays, the instrument panel displays, are for sale on like Amazon. Like if you just like search through Amazon, head-up displays or instrument panels for Teslas. I mean, it is flooded with them, and it's way more for them for any other car, obviously, because other cars have it. So it looks like there's a pretty large market for those. And I see a lot of people who are making videos with their Model 3s and Model Ys actually have it installed. So I don't think it's just me. I think it's quite a lot of people. And at the end of the day, I mean, this is just geometry. This is like not even you or I, whatever. You want the most vital, important information about your car, like speedometer and stuff like that, to be as close to your kind of a vertical and, of course, horizontal line of visioning, and not kind of to the side diagonally. I feel like that's just kind of
I don't know.
common sense.
I don't remember that being like I said, I've driven Tesla a lot of miles, and I don't remember that being an issue for me.
Well, so here's another guy, David. Looks like he is actually. Did I click on the wrong one here?
Aftermarket instrument panel.
Yeah. So no, this guy says that every time he tries to showcase the summon to someone, it gets stuck. I remember having the same kind of issues when
it's a little goofy. It's inconsistent.
I remember one time it actually got scared of someone's shadow, like a tree shadow, and just stopped because it thought.
So I'll say this: it works better than everyone else's summon.
But that's not saying much. It's I mean, like
because nobody else has it.
Yeah, but I'd rather not have it than have something
until you're in a rainstorm and it works.
All right. Now, we obviously, there are a lot of issues that the Model 3, Model Y had with their door handles and their charging ports. Obviously, you're not going to have those issues, of them freezing in. But I remember
not in Thailand, right? It's not going to freeze up. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, I think they fixed this problem. And actually, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember so I had a Model S. That was the only on Teslas I bought when I had them. I remember when it was hot, I mainly lived in California, and I would grab my door handle. I usually would have like second-degree burns on my hand. I have I mean, it's still a bit of a problem because of how hard you have to grip the actual door handles, which also annoy the hell out of me. I mean, I just cannot stand it. And a lot of other automakers copied it, I believe, including BYD, right? I think where you have to push it in and things comes out and you have to like yank it, and it's
my daughter drives a black Model 3 in Florida, and she's never complained about that.
Yeah, but okay, so here's the
Model X, and the Model X, you walk up and the door opens for you.
Yes, that is all awesome, and I enjoyed that about Model. I remember I got a Model X as a loaner car for like a week, and then after that, I would come up to my car and stand there waiting for the door to open and wondering like, what the hell is happening here? What kind of car is this? In Mercedes EQS, and I believe the BMW i7 has that feature too, and I mean that's the future. So let's look at another actually before we go to the next thing. So Wayne here says I have a 2015 model. This is the classic 85D with Autopilot in Australia. It's absolutely insane. It's not perfect, but the fact it drives itself on a lot of roads here, it blows my mind. The navigation is awesome.
Well, that's 2015. That's pre. That's not the modern version.
Yeah, it's an old school. But my last one was 2015 as well. But I also have to correct Wayne here. Your car does not drive itself. When a car drives itself, it's insane how Elon Musk kind of brainwashed so many people about these common terms that we have. When a car drives itself, it really needs to drive itself to the point where I can take a nap. Where right now, and by the way, this goes to not just Tesla, to other cars that have the same feature. They just don't call it the same way. Is if you cannot take a nap, if you have to be putting your hands on the steering wheel and having to keep your eyes on the road, call me crazy, but I call it driving.
I have a story for you. I was driving from Florida to California, and I made a mistake, and I should have stopped at the last charger, and I decided to make it to the next charger, and I started falling asleep at the wheel. And I never fell asleep at the wheel, but I was really out. I was really fatigued, and the car got me there safely. And you can say the car didn't drive itself, and yeah, I did supervise it kind of, but I wasn't much of a supervisor. And this was it was FSD beta, but I don't think FSD beta was active because I think we were on the highway. I was on, I-10 or something like that. And the car got me to where I was going safely. So it's a really important feature in some circumstances that is. And then there's just the question, which we don't know the answer to, how long, will they be able to solve the self-driving problem, and how long will it take? Now, if I get a new Model Y or a new Model 3, current generation Model Y or a new Model 3, it's going to have hardware 4, which is currently not particularly capable with FSD. They're doing where they use it in the US, it's just emulating the hardware 3. But the hardware 4 is, I think, 5 times as powerful as the hardware 3. So, the prospect of having fully functioning full self-driving, I'm a perpetual optimist. I think it's going to happen by the end of this year, but more likely by the end of next year, it's actually going to be working like where you can take a nap. And no other car, even if, you can say, well, Warren, it's not going to happen. It's like, well, we know it's not going to happen with any other car. And we know that Tesla's aiming for it, and they've got the data, they got the computing power. They may very well be able to deliver it. So that prospect, and if I don't know if you've driven in Thailand. I've driven in Thailand. I don't like it. I don't like driving in Thailand. I'd much rather have a car that can drive for me.
Now, you have to say that every day I'm driven without having to keep on my eyes on the road and hands on the wheel, because my Grab, which is Uber here, drivers are amazing. They need none of my supervision. I can nap. I can do whatever I want. So to me, that's the best.
I have found the Grab drivers in Thailand are fine, and I would say probably on average better than Uber drivers in America.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it. I mean, it's amazing how kind people are on the road here. But we can. I just did a whole live stream about how much I kind of fell in love with in Thailand, with everything that I was just coming for one thing, just like you, and I just fell in love with everything else. So now here's another interesting question, which I don't really know the answer as much, but I think it's a legitimate question, and maybe you might have an answer. So Ashish Das is asking, what is the reliability record of BYD cars? So obviously each car model, not just BYD or Tesla, has to have certain, has to pass certain standards for different countries and so forth. Over here, we have a right-hand side, steering wheel and stuff like that. So I don't know if there is enough record. I have not heard any complaints, even though our streets are, out of 10 electric cars I see here, I would say at least 5 are BYDs at this point. But I can only tell you that I personally have not heard or experienced myself worse, reliability than a Tesla. And I continue seeing this.
I think the Atto 3, which we're talking about, is a fairly new car, so you don't have the number of years to manage it. I can only say that there's a car industry CEO who says the Chinese make really good cars, and his name's Elon. And Elon is very, very complimentary towards the quality of the Chinese EVs. So
he wasn't in the beginning. He was laughing at BYD. I remember him chuckling about it.
He said they've turned it around. He acknowledged that he'd made that remark in the past, and he has since, I think recently within the past year, he's made some very positive comments about BYD, and not just BYD. I think he thinks highly of XPeng. I'm not sure what he thinks of NIO, but I think he thinks that there are multiple Chinese EV manufacturers who are doing really well. And you mentioned the quality of the Shanghai Model Y, let's say, versus one made in America. And my impression,
not in America, in California.
But my impression is that the Shanghai built cars may have better build quality than the American built cars.
California factory, even a Sandy Monroe, who is humongous. He's a bigger Tesla fanboy than you. Well, I guess I can't call you fanboy anymore, since you actually have not followed the supreme leader in every single possible way, like that guy does now. I can't believe I helped his popularity. My apologies to everyone for that. But even Sandy Monroe consistently said that he would probably just scrap the entire factory if he would give them an advice, but definitely the paint shop. I mean, I don't think it's a secret that California factory is just not up to par compared to Texas, Berlin, and Shanghai factories.
If we can go there, I think that they should scrap the Model S and Model X lines, because I think they're great cars, but they're such low volume that from a investor perspective, I think Tesla could get a lot more out of that space by producing new vehicles in higher volume. I think the volumes, like maybe they're in 50,000 a year both together, the S and the X together. And I love the cars. I think the Model S is one of the best cars on the road. The Model X is crazy, amazing car with some reliability issues. The X is the one that has the reliability issues because of the Falcon Wing doors.
I gotta say, man, I think the Model S and Model X are actually by far the best. Like, if I was to buy a Tesla one day, right? Because I never want to say never. Like right now, there's no way I would buy one. But if I was, I would definitely go with an S or an X. And Model 3, Model Y, that's not even a car to me. I mean, to me, they're completely out of the question. Actually, before I ask you,
wait, you know the Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, right?
Yeah, but so is, heroin is very popular as well. I heard, but I'm not gonna get that. That is a horrible argument.
I think Model Y is better for your health.
But it's a horrible argument that I think Tesla fans make. And the argument changes every year. I remember say, well, Tesla was the best sold car in the world. Well, now it's not. Okay, Model Y is the best sold model in the world. Well, at some point that's going to change, and the argument's going to change. However, it is a horrible argument to say that just because something is popular, it's actually good for you. I mean, heroin is just my favorite example, but there's just so many examples of things. Just because they're popular doesn't mean they're good. But don't get me wrong, I also use that example when I talk to people who are like, electric car haters, and I say, well, just so you know, it is definitely popular. I'm not saying it's the best car, but it's definitely the most popular car. Yeah. So I listen. It's definitely not for me.
87% brand loyalty. People who buy Teslas want more.
Cults have an amazing loyalty. I'm surprised. Whatever it is, it should be 100%. I'm surprised it's that low, actually. Cults have great loyalties. So Yes, it's amazing what you guys do. Well, actually, Thomas,
you believe that every Tesla owner is in the cult. I got it.
Not every Tesla owner, but a lot. Okay, listen. Here's a follow-up question before I move on with the next question I have for you that bothers me about the Model Y and Model 3. Thomas says, I don't understand why I'm assuming he's talking about you, says it's not going to happen with other cars. I'm assuming he's talking about self-driving. Waymo, even though it's a small region, but still it'll expand.
I'm happy to take that on. So the problem, Waymo has multiple problems. First of all, it's not a scalable business model. I believe I just saw this was just in the news, that Waymo spends $300,000 per car. Their cost of a car is $300,000. Now, if you figure the car drives 150,000 miles for its life, that means it costs $2 a mile just for amortizing the car without interest. So you can't deliver an effective business model if the rides are going to cost more than riding in an Uber. That's assuming that all the miles driven are miles driven with paid passenger, but half the miles are not. So the Waymo's cost structure is just out of whack. That's the reason that they don't scale, is they can't afford to, because they just lose too much money on every ride. They're losing money on every ride. Where with Tesla, if or when they get FSD working, their cost per mile is in the ballpark of 15 cents a mile instead of $3 a mile or $4 a mile. So Tesla's going to be able to deliver robotaxi rides for dramatically less than Uber while making a profit, where Waymo won't. And then you have the problem that the real way you solve the self-driving problem, if you believe in machine learning as the solution, is you have a lot of compute and a lot of data. And Tesla they're approaching 7 million cars in the fleet, sending back data to the data center to train. Waymo has, a few hundred cars at most. So Tesla's generating, 1 billion miles a month now, and Waymo's generating, maybe 1 million miles a month. So
actually, that's a very, very bad argument. Sorry to interrupt, but essentially what most companies do, and that's really the best way to go. they've all created simulators, and I believe Tesla also has one. The simulator it doesn't need it. You can do so many things with it. You can rotate the sun. You can bring rain in, and whatever it is you want to do. You can create very complicated situations that are based on a real life situation. So actually, manual testing, which Tesla does, is never as good as automated testing. If when you think about quality assurance, it's always the automated testing that's considered to be actual real.
What you miss is that it's impossible in simulation to generate all the strange edge cases that happen. And the beauty of the real world is when an edge case happens, when something really unusual happens, Tesla's able to take that situation, and then they're able to use their simulation software to do what you said, to put it in different lighting, to change change the nature of the intersection where it happened. So there's trees when there weren't trees, to make it night, to make it day, make it rain, etc. So Tesla does use simulation, but you can't approximate the real world in simulation because there's just you can't anticipate it. The programmers can't anticipate every edge case that might happen. And the way Tesla solves that problem is by getting out and they're getting real world experience. And then you see the edge cases, then you're able to figure out, okay, how do we train for that?
Let me answer a question now, because it looks like this one's from me about self-driving, but then I want to move on to the next thing. That's kind of important, I think. Okay, so Wayne says, I understand what you're saying about the car not self-driving, but it really does drive for 15 minutes on our highways. It lane changes when I indicate. We have nice clear white lines and tracks. Wayne, here's the thing. I mean, like I said, I guess, my definition of self-driving is that when it's unsupervised, I can just sleep, I can watch TV or whatever. To me, that's the only benefit of self-driving, right? Because essentially, if a car is self-driving, I can do something else. Just like when I am being driven by Uber, rideshare driver, I usually am on my laptop. I'm doing my homework for my Thai lessons. I can take a nap. I can answer messages. So it actually saves me time, and it saves me from the stress of driving and watching the road and cursing the grandmas that are trying to change lanes with me without blinkers. But none of that is true when you have to supervise yourself driving. So technically, yes, you can amuse your friends for 15 minutes with this. But in reality, as a feature, it is just not complete. And that's why I'm saying it's not self-driving, because, in my defense, it is not self-driving. So that's why I say that.
I'm going to hate to agree with you. And the way I'm going to agree with you is this.
Okay.
I think from an investor perspective, or from a company perspective, I don't think Tesla's going to sell a lot of FSD until it can drive unsupervised, until you don't have to pay attention, until you can take a phone call without the car interrupting you. I believe that the version they're about to ship, you won't be required to touch the wheel, that they're taking away that nag, but you're still going to have to pay attention to the road. The camera in the car is going to be watching your eyes. Yeah. So I do agree with you that I still, like, I've driven it. I think, like, once I had FSD, driving a car without FSD, and I'm talking about FSD beta, driving everywhere. Once I had it, then driving a car without self-driving was really uncomfortable. It's really nice to have the car drive for you. There's a lot of I would almost say it's a visceral positive more than anything else. You get less tired, and it's cool to watch. But I think the real advantage is going to be when you don't have to pay attention, and even if it's only for 50% of your drive, that would be a big plus. So I think, and I think that's coming. I'm a perpetual optimist. I think they'll have that by the end of next year, most very, very likely, possibly by the end of this year. That's a little bit of a stretch. Where are we? We're in June. It's conceivable, but more likely by the end of next year. And then that's a game changer. And no other car offers you the prospect that you're going to be able to flick a switch and the car is going to be able to drive itself, even if it doesn't fully drive itself now.
So Thomas follows up with a quick statement, I guess. He says, self-driving with supervising is more stressful than driving self, I'd say personally. Okay, so let me
just touch on that. So a really good example of this is I used to do country line dancing in Melbourne, Florida, and I lived up in Cape Canaveral, or I lived in Rockledge, depending on different. I lived in two different places, and the car would drive me home. And it's late at night and I'm tired. And I would say during the daytime when there's a lot of traffic, it's probably a little bit more stressful to have the car driving and you have to supervise. At night, when you're tired and there's not a lot of traffic, it's really relaxing to have the car drive, and not relaxing to the point where you fall asleep, but it's really comforting, and it gave me a feeling of safety knowing my car was going to get me home. So, and everybody has a different experience, and maybe that particular drive was good and some other drives weren't great, but I did get a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, and okay, last comment before, because I actually agree with this guy, and I've called it a scam, the biggest scam in the industry for a while now, and it looks like I have somebody agreeing with me. But I mean, like I said, I think if Tesla would have branded this as is the best driver assistant in the world, they would absolutely have the case, right? Maybe Xpeng Motors is close, but it's been a while. But when you're selling something that you're promising is just about to work, and you are paid 15,000, I mean, I guess it's down to what, 7 or 8,000 now, and by the end. 8 by the end of your lease, you still don't have the features you paid for. I mean, I think there's at least one, maybe 2 lawsuits that are now going forward, and I can't wait to see. Like, one thing is my opinion, right? Like, I agree, you don't agree. Let's see what courts say about this. Let's see what courts say about promising something to a customer, charging money for it, and then not delivering it to the customers. And I'm actually, if the court says that was perfectly fine, I will shut the hell up, and I will never call it a scam again, because it is what it is. But
no, you won't. So look, I believe it might be 5,000 or 6,000 here in Thailand, by the way, for FSD. I bought a car with FSD. I bought it from a friend. I bought it from Omar, my 2018 Model 3, and knowing that it didn't do everything, when I bought my Model X Plaid, I bought FSD again. So some of us understand that it's beta. Some of us understand that it's beta software. And if you understand that it's beta software, then you know what you're doing. If you don't pay attention to the fact that it's beta software, then I think Tesla fully discloses, you got to, I don't even think it's fine print. I think it's, fairly straightforward.
Nobody argues with that. No. Nobody, Warren, we're all on the same page there. It's absolutely, if you bought a Tesla and you bought an FSD, and you don't know that it is an experimental software, or as I call it, human trials, but then you're an idiot. Okay, then it's on you. What I'm saying is that I think a lot of people bought it when it was promised from Elon, and it was said on the website that these are the features that will be available, to you at some point, and usually within a year. And you wait for it, and now you have to return your car into the lease, or your warranty expires. You want to sell it, and you never got that feature. To me, essentially, it's a scam. If you take money from people and don't deliver what you promised, to me, it's just I'm not trying to use the, hot word or whatever. I mean, to me, it's just that's what the scam is. But let's see what the courts say.
When you use the word promise, I don't think that he ever promised it. I think that promise is the wrong word. I think he projected that we will achieve it by this point. And if you didn't know that, like with all the Tesla Q critiques of every year, he promised it, it didn't happen. He promised it, it didn't happen. If you weren't aware that he was over optimistic about it for the last, I don't know, what is it, almost 10 years now, then that's really on you, because there's no shortage of people saying that he's over optimistic and he's not going to deliver. You've probably said he wasn't going to deliver it, so.
I warned people, and yet they come back to my channel, and I just made a video about it, and they complain about their Teslas, and I'm like, I'm the last person who's going to feel sorry for you. I told you not to buy one if you're looking for this to be perfect and your FSD to work, and you went out there and bought it. Don't come back and complain to me. Go complain to someone else.
But just to be clear, like, I'm thinking I'm going to go look at a BYD, but it's really hard for me to buy another car because I really enjoy my Teslas that much.
Well,
I'm going to give it a shot because the money difference is huge. The money difference is really huge. It's literally like 50,000 plus. I think it's going to be like, with FSD, it's going to be like 56,000 for the Model Y long range, and the BYD is going to be less than $25,000, or around $25,000. That's a huge difference.
Yeah,
we got to explore, and like I said, there's more BYD locations. So if I need service and I'm out somewhere, there's probably going to be a BYD service location. With Tesla, there won't be.
Let me ask you about something else that I mean to ask you. So, about the interior. So I like BYD Atto 3 and in the Seal. Not so much the Dolphin. It's too simple for me, but that's kind of my problem is, I feel like when I'm sitting behind the wheel of the, Seal or Atto 3, I'm behind a wheel of sort of a full spread of features that I need. My wheel has all kinds of controls and they're all there. And of course, because, I'm going to be driving when I'm using them, I prefer manuals where, when I drove a Model Y at night, I couldn't even see my hands because there were no buttons eliminated.
So what you're saying is that you want to go back to having a phone that has a keyboard built into it because you don't like having to do things on the screen.
Well, I mean, I dictate to my phone, but obviously a keyboard to where you can feel with your hands is better no matter what. That's just human nature. But what I'm saying is that some things are just always going to be better manual. But, I also have the screen. By the way, BYD screens rotate. For example, I think some, since the other days, I actually put a video together about the screen rotating. And of course, all the Tesla fanboys got butthurt and saying, why would you need that? That is silly. But
no, the X and the S do that. The X and the S rotate.
Huh?
The screen on the X and the S both rotate.
Yeah, I like an X and an S, absolutely. But yeah, they're pretty damn good cars. But but the explanation for that is, of course, like even somebody has short hands, it's not. But there are some apps and there are some UI, views. Like for example, if you want to run two apps at the same time, it's better to stack them vertically than horizontally, and many other things. Why people would prefer vertical screen layout rather than a horizontal.
I just realized that the difference between you and me is I like a white S and you like a black S.
That is very true. That is very true. And you're gonna get us canceled, by the way, in America. But I'm okay with that, I guess, at this point. So what is it? Ira says, I am sticking with Fisker, he says.
Fisker.
Hey, Warren, if you want a great price for your car, nothing beats Fisker Ocean right now, But so
I don't think they're
by the way,
in Thailand yet, unfortunately.
David is correcting you. He said, and I kind of, when you said it, I was like, ooh, did I not hear about this?
Yeah,
As the next screens do not rotate, they tilt.
He's right, I'm wrong.
Huh?
He's correct, I'm wrong.
Okay. All right. So, so that's another feature. I like the, just overall, when I sat down behind the wheel of the BYD, I felt like, yeah, this is a car. And, but every time I'm at inside the Model Y or Model 3, because, I get them as my Uber Grab drivers here, I go like, that is just so cheap. It's like if IKEA had a baby with a Prius, then that's what you would get. And I just, does it not bother you? Or are you okay with this minimalistic kind of, jail cell almost like look versus having so many buttons?
So it may be just my experience. Like the Model 3, I think was an early, like a 2018, and I think it may have had a premium interior. So that may be different. And then the Model X has a really nice interior. I believe the new 3 has ventilated seats for the driver and front passenger.
Only took, 7 years to get the ventilated seats in there?
Well, whatever. They have it now in the new 3. Like, now the thing is, I had it in the X. I don't know that it was that big of a deal. Like
it is big of a deal. It is absolutely, especially here in Thailand. And it, man.
I was in Florida. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just don't know if it's that big of a deal. Like, I grew up with a Chevy Chevette, right? And a Ford Fairmont. And, I grew up with I'm 58 years old. I'm used to crappy cars.
We all had tough childhoods, but nevertheless, the ventilated seats are a thing of like 10 years ago. You would get it on an even average car.
Well, I'm just saying that the Model 3 and the Model Y and the Model, they're already amazing cars. And this trivial detail about this, like, I think that I have friends who are really picky. Like, they really love the BMW interior. They really love the, Audi interior or something like that. There's some luxury details that they like in their cars. I don't care about any of that. The seat's comfortable. The car's safe. It gets me where I want to go. I think the seats in the Model 3 and Model Y are excellent. So I don't understand. It's not that you're wrong. It's just those aren't features that affect me.
Okay, so people want to address the tariffs. I don't know why. We do have tariffs here, actually quite high tariffs on cars that are made in Europe and America. However, cars that are made in countries friendly to Thailand, obviously China, there are pretty much no tariffs, and that's why Tesla made in China comes in here pretty much with no tariffs. As we know,
I'm frustrated about that. I want to buy a Cybertruck in the U.S. and ship it to Thailand, but I think it's like 100% tariff, maybe 200. It's some crazy tariff. Like it makes it, you know, what if it was a 20% tariff, okay, but 100%, like that's not viable. Because you can, like having a Cybertruck here would be like, I know you don't like Cybertruck, but it would be insane.
Oh yeah. So for the purpose of the channel, if I could have a Cybertruck, yes, that would be amazing. But as far as like owning one myself, I think it's kind of insane. But
no, I mean, like, if there's a little fender bender, I'd much rather be in a Cybertruck than any other car, because it's not gonna, you're not gonna scrape the paint. There's no paint to scrape.
Yeah, but Warren, as we now found out, these Cybertrucks are now getting into accidents. Yeah, but you see, like we're already seeing some Cybertrucks get into accidents that normally a car would be fixable, and now they're all being totaled. And this is something I warned against years ago when I saw this thing, and I thought, wow, this is going to be a problem.
I have not seen that problem.
Well, okay, well, go Google it. It's literally there. Like now, there are 2 or 3 Cybertrucks that got into car accidents that, like I said, by the estimations of everybody who analyzed it, said, hey, listen, if this would be a Toyota Corolla, it would go back on the road, within a couple of weeks. It would not be totaled. But the Cybertrucks are getting totaled just because of, how expensive the parts are, that there's a battery now built into the structure. And any even tiny damage essentially becomes a frame damage, right?
I'm just going to say that sounds like complete and total nonsense. And I'm not having seen the stories, I don't know. Like I follow Tesla news closer than anybody. And you're telling me there's these stories out there, and that's probably because you read, anti-Tesla propaganda. And I just read whatever's posted on X, and I see the story. I just saw a story today where this guy, hit the accelerator pedal and wrecked the car and blamed Tesla. I was like, well, maybe you should have taken your foot off the pedal.
I agree with that one. But like I said, those pictures, you don't have to read what people wrote about it, but you can look at the pictures, read about the accident because our police report, and say, hold on. I'm just saying, no. But
No. The idea that some Yahoo can look at a picture of a car and say, oh, that wouldn't have been a total, blah, blah, blah. Look, cars get totaled very easily in America today in general. It's not just Teslas. The way the cost of repairs is generally high. The cost of repairs for Cybertruck now is really high because it's a brand new car. Now, when they're making $100,000 a year, when they're making $250,000 a year, they're going to have a much higher volume of parts. It's going to be a different story. So to say that in the early ramp of a car is misguided because you just don't understand how it works. But plain and simple, like it's a very common problem in America that any car gets in a crash gets totaled.
Well, wait a second. I feel like you compare. Okay, no. Every car in America does not have the battery pack built into their essential frame, right? No car at all out there is made out of stainless steel, which is, you have to have a special technician and body work.
Any car that has frame damage gets totaled.
Right. It is so much easier to have a frame damage when you are entire. Pretty much the battery pack and the exterior of the car is a frame.
You've got it backwards. Any car that gets frame damage gets totaled. If there's damage to the battery pack of a Tesla, that means that there was frame damage, and then the car would have been totaled anyway.
No, not just any Tesla. I'm talking about Cybertruck. But listen, we will have. So this is actually, I didn't want to have a conversation.
Any EV, because if there's damage to a battery pack in any EV, that means there was frame damage, and a gas car would have been totaled too.
All right, we'll have that conversation in another few months or maybe a year, when I think what's going to happen is we're going to see this a lot. We'll see police reports saying, hey, the Cybertruck got, rear-ended or, sideswiped or whatever at 15 miles an hour, and it got totaled. Or if it didn't get totaled, it got, $25,000 bill. The parts availability has always been a problem with Tesla. And now with the stainless steel exterior, that's going to be even more difficult.
Okay. Anytime there's a problem with a Tesla, it gets posted about constantly and endlessly. When I had problems with my Model X, there was no parts availability. I think I had 2 or 3 steering wheel, what do you call it? The steering wheel, the special steering wheel on a Model S and Model X, the yoke. I think I had, and this isn't a plus, but I think I had it replaced 2 or 3 times, and they never had a shortage of parts. So I never experienced a shortage of parts with any of my Teslas. I think that anytime anybody has an incident with a Tesla, they scream and yell about it, and the media picks it up and runs with it. If the same thing happens with a Ford, no one talks about it. So there's this fantasy that why does Tesla have 87% brand loyalty? I thought there was all these problems because every Tesla buyer is an idiot.
I already explained, and I'm still going to go ahead and go with heroin as my example. Great brand loyalty.
Yes,
people
use
it till death. You know what I mean? It's just never a good argument to say that, you know,
it's addictive to drive a better car.
Huh?
It is addictive to drive a better car. Once you drive a better car, you know, once you go black, you never go back. Once you drive a better car, you never want to drive a shitty car again. And Teslas are better cars.
Fair enough.
But I want to give BYD a chance because I think they might be good enough.
And you know, I mean, I can't agree more in terms of just availability of service centers. When I kind of said that about Volkswagen, when I had a Volkswagen ID4 in America, people jump on me and say, "No, yeah, but they're really like when I had problems with my ID4 and there were major problems." One of the things that I was really thankful is that no matter where in America I was, because I was driving through America, right, before I went and left for Thailand, you know, there was a dealership to help me out within 10 or 15 minutes, no matter where I was. And, you know, it's not a big deal when you don't need it, but once you need it, oh my God, it's a big deal, right?
Well, that was my point about BYD here in Thailand.
Yeah,
right?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with you. So, all right, any other features that you liked BYD better over Tesla here?
I mean, the big thing is the price, but I think that you know, I just looked at the interior. I was watching I think it was Car Wow was comparing the Atto 3 and the Model Y, or maybe they were just looking at the Atto 3, and the interior is pretty nice. They did a pretty nice job on the interior. It's surprising. So people don't know this. The Atto 3 is smaller than a Model Y. It's roughly 2/3 the size. Like the interior cargo space is 1,300 liters instead of 2,100 liters. So it's significantly smaller inside. And yet somehow, according to Car Wow, the back seat wasn't bad. Was not quite as good, but not bad. You know, the stitching or whatever, you know, the fabrics, the way they make the interior look. I've seen a lot of positive comments. Like, you know, there's something like guitar strings. Something looks like guitar strings in one spot, and the door
on the
funky.
back. On the back door, the guitar strings go on the lower part of the door. I think it's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, they're doing some funky stuff. You know, it might be quirky, it might be funky, but I think it's worth a look. You know, because as much as I want to buy a Tesla, like, do I want? You know, how much am I going to be driving? Maybe the Atto 3 is a better car for what I need. I'm probably going to buy the Model Y, just to be blunt. I'm probably going to buy the Model Y, but I want to give the BYD a chance because, you know, probably a $30,000 difference. You know?
Now, people are actually, this is the second time I see somebody asking you if you would rather wait for the BYD Seal U, which I believe is a performance version. You know, do you really need the crossover rather than the sedan, especially here in Bangkok?
So I'm not sure whether he's referring to if there's an SUV version coming, then I would want to see about that. But I'm not.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's probably what it is. Yeah,
I'm not planning on waiting. I have friends, you know, a lot of people in the Tesla community are talking about a refresh of the Model Y, and you know, because they refreshed the Model 3, and a lot of people are saying it's much better than the previous generation Model 3. I think the previous generation Model 3 was already awesome. So, but the problem is that I expect that we're going to be road tripping a lot starting in August. So, and I don't want to road trip in a Honda City anymore.
You know, I might join you actually for a road trip in an electric car. Actually, maybe we should rent you know, one of each and see how we road trip together. That's I just came into my head because that would be a fun thing to do because the best parts of Thailand are accessed by car only, where you don't have other foreigners. I mean, I literally hate places where there are other foreigners, believe it or not. I try to hang out in places, and you've already traveled way more than me inside Thailand to know that the best places is where there are no foreigners around, and you can only get there if you get there by car. So you know what? That might be something, because I also actually, have you gotten your Thai driver license yet?
No.
Okay, yeah, I got my driver license mainly for the show, but I really haven't, I haven't been driving here. I haven't really driven it once, but
So
maybe
just to be
this is.
clear, I'm not planning on waiting for some car that's coming because I want to have something sooner rather than later, because I expect to be driving, at least once or twice a month. We're going to be driving to Lopburi to where her family is. And then we'll probably be driving, I want to go to Hua Hin, I want to go to Pattaya, I want to go up to Chiang Mai. There's all these places I want to go. And then I might drive into Laos or Cambodia too. And
Yeah.
that's actually where the range might matter. And I actually wanted your thoughts on this. Like, I don't, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, like, if there's no charging network, but I can charge in Thailand before I go in, like, does it make sense? Let's say I've got 500 kilometers of range and I go 100 kilometers in and 100 kilometers back. Like, maybe it makes sense to do that. And the more range you have, the more comfortable you are with doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I would go to a different country, especially Laos, with that, but yeah,
Yeah,
I would.
Malaysia, by the way, is harder. Malaysia, you need advance permission to bring your car in.
Oh, wow.
For Laos, Cambodia, and I think Myanmar, you just get permission at the border.
So here's a comment that I don't really quite understand from Wayne. It says, Atto 3 has all 4 doors with 4 annoying guitar strings. Other than that, I didn't like it. So if it was annoying, it sounds like you didn't like that part. Very slow compared to any Tesla. I don't really understand what that even means. Why do you need what do you need? I mean, we're in Bangkok.
I believe that the Atto 3 is slower. I think it's like 7.3 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour versus 6.1 or something like that for maybe 6.6 for the standard range Model Y. So it's a little slower than the standard range Model Y, but I would say the acceleration is more than adequate anyway. And for me personally, if I get the Model Y long range, that's pretty fast. And I don't think there's going to be a BYD that's as fast. Actually, I think the BYD Seal is that fast. But
BYD Seal is pretty good. I mean, honestly, man, if you are going to be deciding on BYD, I would probably, unless you have some very, very important, kind of a utility concern, I would definitely encourage you to get the Seal. Like, if I was to get a car here, it will probably be either the BYD Seal or the upcoming Xpeng.
No, but the cargo space, the ability to sleep in the back of the car, the ability to fit more people in and have more stuff in the car. The Model Y is big. The Model Y's interior. Now, is it too big for Thai roads? I don't know. I don't think it's too big. So I think the Model Y is, sort of like the ideal SUV. And I think somebody earlier said something about they didn't like the Model X because of the Falcon Wing doors, which are kind of cool, but they're also kind of quirky.
I love those. I don't understand how people cannot like such an amazing feature. I love them.
Because they lead to more warranty claims, which means your car's in the shop more. That's the problem with and they also don't. If you want to talk about fit and finish, they never fit quite right.
I don't know. I love them. I absolutely love them.
This is a good question from Thomas B. Is there a Xiaomi SU7? Are there? No, I don't think they're making them in volume yet, and they're only making them in China.
No, they're not bringing it here. We have quite a few different Chinese car maker EV models. I would say we have at least 15 different ones, and Xpeng is actually coming with what? I forget their model, X6, I think.
I should check out that. There's that car Deepal or something. I think it's from Chang'an Motors.
Yes. There's tons of them. I mean, I don't know if you went. Did you go to the Bangkok International Auto Show a couple of months ago?
We were hanging out together.
That's right. Yeah.
Together. Yeah.
That's right. So, I mean, there were like so many electric cars out there. It's as a matter of fact, electric cars here had their own expo that I went to. I think it's before you even got here. And, that was tons and tons of different cars. And that was half a year ago. Since then, we got even more. So if anything, we're having a very interesting electric car revolution here. But we're getting more Chinese cars. Though, I see still a lot of Porsches and Volvos here as well.
Yeah. Pierre says, there's a war going on in Myanmar. I actually did not know that.
You didn't know that? Oh, I was going to go there.
I know that Myanmar has a reputation in Thailand of not being a desirable country to visit. So it was the bottom of our list. But you know, assuming that it's safe to travel, I would consider going.
No,
But
we have
not safe to travel, I
we had
won't.
no, we'll really. I was going to go there a few months ago, and there's a literally travel advisory from the U.S. government saying don't go because they really do have. And I don't know if you've met. There's some people from Myanmar who kind of ran away to Thailand, so it's not a good place to go. Though I do know a couple of my Thai friends who just went, and it was okay. But yeah, I'm not, and I'm definitely not driving in a nice electric car in there for sure. So
yeah. I did see nice cars in Cambodia. So
yeah. So all right. So any other features that you see? Like, what would be besides the price? What would be something that BYD or another car would need to have, electric car, over Tesla for you to say, you know what? Sorry, I'm gonna go with that one.
well, I don't know crash test results. I mean, I looked up crash test results, and the Euro NCAP Atto 3 did okay. I mean, pretty good. It didn't do as well as the Model Y, but it did pretty good. So safety is really important. I think I saw that I'm hoping to have kids, and I think I saw that the car seat attachment in the Atto 3 was better. That BYD does a better job for the car seat attachments than Tesla does. That it's easier to install a car seat, in other words. So there's some nice little things here and there. I'd really like to see if there's an EV. It doesn't have to be BYD. It could be another EV maker that has a more comfortable back area that you could sleep in conceivably.
Have you looked at Volvos? Have you looked at the electric Volvos?
I have not. I mean, I saw one at the auto show, but I didn't think it was full electric.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Volvo has like 3 or 4 models now, and I see them all the time. I think they're beautiful, and they have actually they're based on Android OS. I don't like how small the screen is, but people love them, and you might want to actually take a look at them and see if this is something that you might have an interesting compromise, between Tesla and BYD. Those cars may have everything that you want. And let me bring in another interesting comment. This guy just said V2G, but I don't think we care, V2G or V2H or whatever. Like we don't live in homes here. Like we live in apartment condos.
I will say I have a fantasy, at least, and maybe it's going to be a reality, that within the next 2 years, I'm going to build a house in Thailand, probably south of Bangkok, like Chumpon, and probably put solar on the roof and probably get battery packs. And it probably would be I wouldn't call it vehicle to grid, but vehicle to home. It probably would be a plus to have that, but it's just not a very big deal to me. That's not like, that doesn't rank on my list of features I care about.
Yeah, even when I had a home, and I still have it in Sacramento and in Las Vegas. Well, I just sold one in Las Vegas, but I didn't care. I think that's such a useless feature that maybe is good once a year when you have a power outage. And by the way, I don't know what your experience has been so far here, Warren, and I know you've lived in a few different places because you were trying to figure out where you want to live. I have not had or heard anybody who've had a power outage here in a developing country, where in America, I would get them 1, 2, 3 times a year. Every time, basically, Sacramento, right? I lived in Sacramento for a while, the government city, California, all of that stuff, right? And every time there was a little too much rain, a little bit too much, wind, and sometimes fires started by our utility company, boom, we all of a sudden have no electricity. But here, not a single second have gone by that I didn't have electricity, water, air conditioning. It's been excellent. So we don't even need that feature.
I have not heard of a power outage, and I would say this is a big message for people. Like, the quality of life. Thailand is a relatively poor country, and the quality of life for Thai people isn't necessarily that great because they don't have as much money as we do. But if you have any level of American money, any kind of American income, any kind of American money saved up, the quality of life here is so much better and so much less expensive. And then I know you didn't like Japan as much as I did. I just spent 2 weeks in Japan. And you can live in Japan for roughly half, if you can find a way to stay in Japan. And by the way, technically I'm still a nomad, although I have a base of operations now. I have a 1-year lease on this condo that I'm sitting in.
Great view, by the way. Warren has an amazing view on Bangkok and the river.
I'm looking out the window right now. Yeah. I'm expecting to travel quite a bit. and we just, like I said, we were just in Japan for 2 weeks, and the quality of life in Japan, I know you didn't necessarily enjoy Japan, but my experience, and my girlfriend was with me. She loved Japan. Japan has an incredibly high quality of life, and then there's like just really, if there's a knock on Thailand, it's like, well, you can't drink the water from the tap. You can't flush the toilet paper down the toilet. You're not supposed to, and the air quality isn't great here. But in Japan, but the point is that you can travel. You can live your life traveling in Asia for about half the cost of living life in America. Like if you travel in Asia and you do it right, Airbnbs and you find inexpensive flights and you travel light, you can live for half the cost. If you go to Japan, I haven't been to Philippines yet, but Philippines probably, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, probably a few. Indonesia is another one. There's a bunch of countries that are worth traveling to that have a high quality of life, low cost of living as a nomad. You rent an Airbnb for a month, you get a lot of discounts. It's actually less expensive. Like I was renting an apartment in Japan for $1,100 a month.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to say, I what I did like about Japan was people. So that I actually liked Japan itself. However, I also wanted to add a couple of things. First of all, yes, I completely agree with you. The standard of life here is nothing. Like I would never, I don't want to say never, right? But I cannot see myself going back to America, even for more than a week, because I just, the standard of life for someone who makes decent money at the very least is so much higher. The healthcare, the lack of crime,
healthcare is excellent.
The convenience. Just so many things that like I can't see myself, like I just can't see myself going back to what, to me, US is more of a third world country now that I've experienced this. And tomorrow I go to Korea. That's my 26th country that I've visited. I've lived on 3 different continents now in my age of almost 50, and I can tell you that it is a joke. Like people who live here is just laugh at the life in the US. And let me add one more thing. You said the life maybe not that great for Thai people, but Thai people have something that no American has. Okay, there are 3 things. One, well, no American under the age of 65, I guess, but one is free healthcare. It's not perfect, but it is free. They do get taken care of, and it is just kind of a basic thing that they do have have covered. And there are some government hospitals here that are very decent. The one that the royal family goes to is not
even
bad
the private hospitals are good.
Yeah. Well, the public ones are still decent. Number 2, the low rates of a violent crime, right? Like Thai people enjoy that no American can really enjoy.
The only meaningful violent crime in Thailand is in places where there's a lot of foreigners and the foreigners get drunk.
Yeah. Well, there's also domestic violence, but like just generally speaking, like random, especially violent crime is absolutely almost unheard of here. And so, the quality of food, for example, like just beside the fact that we have like food everywhere and it's amazing, but just the quality of it so much better. It's better sourced, it's better grown, it's not GMO'd, it's not raped after that by all these companies.
We had dinner for 2 tonight at a Japanese restaurant for like $12.
Yeah. The fact that it's extremely affordable here is definitely a big plus. But I'm talking about just even Thai people enjoy a lot of things here in Thailand. Oh, and let me one more thing. Thai government very much protects Thai people from the immigration and foreigners like us. For example, if somebody wants to hire me here for a job, let's say at a factory, they have to hire at least 4 Thai people to one of me, right? That you guys do not have that in America anymore. Any immigrant or even somebody who is there temporary on a visa can take your job, and that's it, right? And secondly, and I love this. This is something that America missed big time. I think it's one of the biggest downfalls of America is that America allows foreigners to buy land. Here in Thailand, if you're a foreigner, you absolutely cannot buy land. And I absolutely love it. And I'm a foreigner. Only your citizens of your country should be able to own land. And as we know in America, China owns half of America now at this point, and China owns nothing here in Thailand. So Thai people actually have so many benefits that Americans don't and probably never will, plus retirement.
So can I address the question from Rainbow Hurricane? Warren, why do you want kids? Aren't you past that point?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay with me addressing that question?
Absolutely.
So the answer to the question is, first of all, I'm not past that point. I'm 58 years old. I'm in great health. But I had a moment a few years ago when my marriage was ending, and I thought, well, what do I want for my future? And the single greatest thing I've done in life is be a father. And I enjoyed it tremendously, and I'm really proud of how my kids turned out. And I decided I wanted to do that again. And now I met someone who's sleeping in the other room, and we're going to have kids soon, hopefully. And I get to do it again. And that's like, I can't imagine anything more meaningful I would do in life than raise children.
And I'm going to add on top of that I have met your lovely girlfriend, and she is absolutely amazing. You know, when guys say that, you know, we're tired of American Western women, which absolutely the reason I left, you know, and men like me and Warren come to countries like Thailand with more of a family-oriented, traditional culture. You know, we're talking about, you know, women like that. So, you know, when you're actually, you know, married or with an amazing traditional woman like, you know, Warren here, we got very lucky, I think, ahead of a lot of us. You want to have a family. You're not afraid of your children being, you know, taken away from you at divorce. You're not afraid of, you know, basically losing all of your money in your company.
I had a really bad experience dating in America, and I don't want to get into Western, but I'm not saying there aren't good women in America. I just, you know, compared to what I dated, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know that on the one hand, her expectations are reasonable. You know, like, you know, what does she expect of me? On the other hand, you know, she's, you know, not fat.
She's not fat. I can absolutely tell you guys, but
which is like, you know, 60% of American women are fat. And she seems, just a strange thing, she seems to like me. It's a little bizarre.
You are a gentleman with her. I've seen. I mean, we went out. You know, we were at the restaurant, right? When I met her, and you know, you take care of her. I mean, you definitely look out for her. You know,
we take care of each other.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, she's taken care of. And that's another thing. Like, you know, it's easy to take care of and protect. You know, someone who is a traditional woman versus a boss chick who don't need no man. You know, it's just so natural, right? Like, my skills as a gentleman and you know, a provider just automatically comes out, because like even the way Thai women speak in English, but especially in Thai, you know, you do not, my ears have not used to a woman raising her voice like at all. Women here speak like a cattle of kittens are sleeping on their tongues.
It is totally true. It's like,
you know,
I have to say, what
versus the loud boss chicks in America and Europe, and I can't stand that. And you know,
I gotta give you a laugh now. I had a date with a woman. It was sort of a weird date, whatever. We had what was effectively a first date, and I really liked her, and I thought she really liked me. And I tried to. She was, you know, far away. It was like a road trip, basically. And I was like, you know, I want to come back and see you again. I couldn't get her to agree to a second date. And every once in a while, she, at a certain point, it was like, okay, moved on. And then every once in a while, she would text me and about something. And I was like, well, do you want to like come down to Florida? And then it never happened. And then I hadn't heard from her in like a year or more. And she just texted me the other day. And I could tell she basically like realized she screwed up, and she had, you know, there was a good opportunity there and she blew it.
American or Thai?
American. No, this is a woman I met on a road trip, and she, like, beautiful, intelligent, whatever, a little bit of a boss chick maybe, but not that doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you. But you know, whatever she was looking for, apparently I wasn't it. And I actually think one of the problems in America is they're all crazy. I mean, the men are crazy too, but like
men are no longer men to me.
Yeah, men are men and women aren't women. And here in Thailand, I don't know if the men are men, but the women are women.
I gotta say, man, I think men are men. I mean, I from what I'm seeing, I mean, I do have a few new Thai male friends, like they're my soccer teammates, and they're definitely men. And I can tell by also the type of women they're married to. So
No,
Absolutely.
I definitely know guys who are men. I would say that I have a friend who's in Florida who's from Thailand, and she was saying that it's very hard for Thai women to find a good man. Just like it's women, American women say it's hard to find a good man there. There's, the ones who become lady boys, or they don't, it's hard to find a guy who has a good paycheck. If you're a Thai woman looking for a Thai man, people don't realize how low pay is for regular Thai people. Like $600 a month is a good check.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, I think this is what's going to happen. Essentially, a lot of American women will decline a lot of good guys because they're not perfect 10s. And then once they're in their 30s and 40s, this whole I don't need no man, or I can do better and stuff like that, I'm a princess thing, it's going to turn into, and it is already turning into, regret. And hey, I'm now by myself in my 40s. The bikini pictures on Instagram ain't doing the trick anymore. And men who are my age want the Thai girls and go to Thailand or dating younger women. And I think this is going to be, not a laughing matter. I think this is going to be, a pandemic. I think the best customers for antidepressants in America, I believe, are single women over 30. Yes.
Did you watch the Seinfeld show when it was hot?
I can't stand the guy now. Sorry.
So there was an episode where the character Elaine had this great boyfriend, but she broke up with him because he wrote her a note and he didn't have an exclamation point on the note. And that was enough for her to break up with him. And I felt like that with a couple of women that I dated, that I guess I did something a little wrong and that was enough for me to get dumped. I didn't have that many dates in the first place, right? But, I felt like it was like you're walking like a tightrope, trying to satisfy, to be whatever this woman wants you to be, or, just being yourself doesn't work. And here in Thailand, I'm just myself. And I had some good dates before I met my girlfriend. And
tell the viewers what happens when you get on a dating app, because I just signed up with Tinder again.
Oh my God.
And I don't have enough. This is a full-time job for me to. I'm not even swiping, right? I'm just trying to keep up with the girls who are trying to match with me.
No, I think full-time job is a good way of describing it. I was spending a lot of, because I had a mission, right? I wanted to find somebody to have kids with. I wanted to find a partner, somebody to spend the rest of my life with. And I just decided that was really important. And so I was using Thai Cupid and Thai Friendly. I met her on Thai Cupid, but I think I had more activity on Thai Friendly. And I think it was your advice, I ignored incoming messages because you just get flooded with 100 messages a day.
Yeah.
And I just filtered out what I thought I was looking for, which in my case was college educated and spoke English reasonably well. And I was still doing I think at my peak, I was doing 3 coffee. And I started off every date with everyone was a first date was a coffee date. And I was doing 3 coffee dates a day.
Yeah.
At my peak, I was doing 3 coffee dates a day. And then I met her. And after the second date, I was like, okay, that's it. And I told all the other ones I was dating, I had gone on a couple dates with, nope, I found somebody, and thank you for talking to me, and I wish you well. And
I remember when you told me about her, and you were having a good time, just like any good man here would are recognized as good men.
I wouldn't say I was having a good time. I would say it was work.
It was work, but when essentially when we become I feel like I am like a blonde 25-year-old girl in California going to a bar, right?
Model. We're Instagram models.
Right, exactly. I feel like an Instagram model. So, but it comes with some challenges too. But yeah, but generally speaking,
if you want to come to Thailand and you want to date and you're not concerned about whether she speaks English and you're not that picky, then you will have infinite dates. For me personally, it was like, well, I don't just want to have infinite dates. I want to make dates that are productive. And still I think I saw I was able to limit it. You have to limit it because otherwise it's just
you have to. And it's in now. I've taken a bit of a different strategy, as you know. I've actually decided that I basically want to only date women who don't speak English, because essentially the way to preserve the culture and the tradition is to not be exposed to English language. I think that's how this real virus gets transmitted. and that way they're not gonna be able to understand what Taylor Swift and Beyonce are brainwashing them about?
I disagree with you on that. I think that the issue is if they spend too much time in places where there's a lot of foreigners. So my girlfriend speaks English reasonably well, but she did not spend, she lived with her mother, and she, went to her job that was all Thai people, and her friends are all Thai, and she didn't hang out. And she dated a couple foreign men, but she did not, I don't think she got exposed that much. So I think if you date women who have jobs, who don't spend all their time in Sukhumvit, is the area that I'm talking about, where there's a lot of foreigners, and they don't hang out in Pattaya, and they don't hang out in Phuket, they don't hang out where the foreigners are. They live their lives, and this is like 98% of women in Thailand are like this. Then I don't think that's necessarily an issue. And I think also if you go outside of Bangkok, I don't know this yet. I think if you go to a place like Korat, which is about 2-3 hour drive northeast of here, if you go to a medium-sized city in Thailand that's outside of the mainstream, I think Chumphon would be another good example. I think Songkhla would be another good example. Hat Yai, as long as it's not like a tourist destination like Phuket or Samui or Hua Hin or Pattaya. If there's a lot of foreigners there, then you're going to have the same problem. But if you go to a place that's filled with Thai people and it's traditionally Thai, they're going to be traditional.
Since you're giving out some dating advice, Warren, what do you say to Pierre, who says some men absolutely have no clue that they do wrong sometimes? What do you say to that?
I think that if you are true to yourself and you live your life the way you want to live your life, then you will do something that a woman might not like. But if you are being your true self and she recognizes that we're all different, we're all going to do stuff that each other doesn't like at some point, then she's going to respect the fact that you are who you are. If you are trying to be what women want and you're not being yourself, then it's easy to go wrong.
Yeah, and this is I have a problem with Pierre saying, doing something wrong. Says who? Says American woman? I just
don't. Well, to be clear, it's not necessarily that you did something wrong. Did you do something she didn't like?
But here's the thing. What I feel like in America now, in the Western countries, that women's feelings are, above everyone. Men's feelings, but above reality, above facts, above common sense. And I think, unfortunately, and I blame men for this, is that men have basically said, okay, nothing worse than men who live believing in a statement, happy wife, happy life. That is the worst way to go. And somehow men got brainwashed in Western countries that's the case, because my girlfriend and my future wife would not determine what I'm doing, whether it's right or wrong. I will determine that. So the fact that somehow you're just submitting to women and saying, they decide whether or not I've done something wrong or right, to me says that you should work on yourself and not take women's or anyone else's feelings in consideration.
But I just think in any relationship, you're going to do something she doesn't like. She's going to do something you don't like. And that's navigating a relationship. Is you're going to have a lot of great moments, and then there's going to be a moment where somebody does something the other person doesn't like, and you got to figure out how to get through it. And if you can't get past when she does something you don't like, and she can't get past when you do something she doesn't like, if it's not, like obviously if you're cheating on her, that's different, or if she's cheating on you, that's different. But if it's just like, you left the seat up, right? You didn't clean, you left some dishes in the sink, you didn't clean them or something like that. If it's small stuff, you got to be able to distinguish between what's really important and what's not important. And, we had one rough moment and we got through it. And, I'm sure we'll have more rough moments along the way. But that's one of the challenges, and that's a challenge on both sides, that men may be intolerant of a woman doing something they don't like, and women may be intolerant of a man doing something they don't like. And to say that it's wrong, I agree with you in this sense. To say that you did wrong, like sometimes you do wrong, but if I did something wrong, I know I did something wrong. If you did something wrong, you did something wrong. If she thinks I did something wrong, that doesn't mean I did something wrong. But
that's the problem with a lot of American men, right?
But that's going to happen in any relationship. You're going to do something that they don't like, that each of you is going to do something the other person doesn't like, and you've got to work through it.
I'm going to throw last question to you, Warren. And after that, I got a pack to go to Korea. I actually have a few other things that I'm sure you've passed your bedtime as well. Let's talk. This is an interesting question. So I think this is your buddy. He or maybe she says social, and this is from X. Social media is the worst thing for America. Probably can't outlaw due to First Amendment. Warren would know better. Should be highly taxed. Now we're both social media influencers making money on social media. I think you are way more active on obviously X than I am on any. So even though I'm on like 8 platforms, you know what? I'll throw this to you first. What do you think? Is the social media the worst thing that happened to America, or is happening to America right now?
I think that when books came out, people complained about them. When radio came out, people complained about it. When TV came out, people complained about it. People complained about Dungeons and Dragons. They complained about. I think that social media is better than television. Television was worse for people than social media. I think that some people use it wrong. Some people use it too much. Some people watch TV too much. But I would say in general, it enables us to connect with more people. It enables us to find people that we share. We are honestly, you and I met through social media, and I think it's been great. My girlfriend has an Instagram. She doesn't use it very much. I communicate with a lot of my old high school friends through Facebook, even though I'm generally not on Facebook. I think that there's a lot of value in social media, and some people are going to use it too much. Same thing with television. Same thing with pornography. Like some people say pornography is terrible. Some people look at it once a week. Some people look at it 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day is probably too much.
Yeah. Actually, I agree 100%. So I'm just going to answer a quick a question that's addressed to me, and then we'll because we're going to do this every Wednesday for at least a month, right? So we'll pick another topic, and I'm sure we'll end up talking more about Thailand and the fact that we're passport bros. Okay, so Pierre's saying career going to an EV event. No, actually, one of my best friends is married to a Korean girl, did it the right way, and so they're visiting her family. And because I haven't seen a lot of my friends, Korea is relatively close, and I haven't been there. That would be a 26th country that I will visit. It would be great to have someone who is Korean around, and at the same time, I am going to make a few videos, simply just like I did with Europe when I saw some models like Honda E that I haven't seen around in Asia or in America. I'm looking forward to see, because I believe Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, essentially same company, I believe they are really up there as far as electric cars are concerned. They have done an excellent job. And I'm looking to see how they're doing at their home turf. Maybe I'll get a peek at the EV3. Talk to people about it. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing, the home country of the brands that are probably going to pass many other brands because of how well they're doing with their electric cars. So business and pleasure, but I'll be back in 5 days, and I will actually be hosting a huge electric vehicle event, which I think Warren is also going to be attending here at the convention center.
Hope so.
Did I like Sweden, Pierre? Generally speaking, yes, but in some ways, no, because pretty much service sucks. Everything's way more expensive than it should be. Everything closes at freaking 9 p.m. Nobody wants to work past 5. Nobody wants to work on weekends. Nobody wants to work during summer. Everyone's way too comfortable with their lives. I don't see that society being very productive or even that happy because of that. But at the same time, low crime, people are nice, very clean.
Did you have meatballs? Did you have meatballs?
Yes, of course. But like in Europe, I've noticed the only food they sell 3 types of food in Europe. I've realized, burgers, pizza, and beer. I had a hard time finding authentic Swedish food in Sweden. So yeah. All right, listen, with that, Warren, I am going to go and pack, and I'm sure you have other things to do, like probably sleep.
I have an appointment tomorrow morning early, so I need to go to sleep.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you here next week, same time, which is midnight our time, and I think it's what was like 9 a.m. in California, which I think is good enough.
Good enough. All right.
All right, man.
Thanks.
See you next week.
Great chat. Next time, maybe I'll try to stream it on X.
Yep. Awesome.